This video I will be talking about perfect competition. So in economics, you have two extreme market structures. On one hand, you have perfect competition, and on the other hand, you have monopolies. So the learning objectives for this video are to identify the characteristics of a perfectly competitive market structure, explain how a perfectly competitive firm decides how much to produce. So in perfect competition, you have a homogeneous product, and the firm is always a price taker. So perfect competition is a market structure in which the decisions of individual buyers and sellers have no effect on the market price. The actual firm, they are price takers. The market sets the price, and the firm has to charge that price that the market set. An example of perfect competition would be the agricultural markets. A perfectly competitive firm is a firm that is such a small part of the total industry that it cannot affect the price of the product or service it sells. So that's just saying that it's a price taker. A price taker is a competitive firm that must take the price of its product as given because the firm cannot influence its price. The market sets the price, and the firm have to charge that price that the market sets. So in perfect competition, there's perfect information. There are a large number of buyers and sellers. The product sold by the firm in the industry is homogeneous. It's the same product across the board. Both buyers and sellers access to all relevant information, and any firm can enter and leave the industry without serious impediments. So there are no barriers to enter or exit the market. So if I wanted to enter the market, there's no barriers to enter or exit it. We all have perfect information, and it's the same product across the board. Hence, they are price takers if they're in a perfectly competitive industry. That market sets that price, and the firm has to charge the price that the market set. So question, if a perfectly competitive firm is a price taker, who or what sets the price? Perfectly competitive firm is a price taker selling a homogeneous commodity. So they will sell all units for $5, will not be able to sell at a higher price, and will face a perfectly elastic demand curve at the going market price. Now, looking at the two graphs, or the one diagram with the two graphs in it. Now we see the market, you have a demand curve and you have a supply curve. So on the left hand side, that's the market demand, the blue line, and on the left hand side, the red line is the market supply. The equilibrium price is $5. So the market sets the equilibrium price, and then on the right hand side, the firm has to sell their product for that price. So the market sets the price, the firm has to charge that price. This is in perfect competition. This is a perfectly competitive firm. On the left hand side is the markets, and on the right hand side is the firm. The firm is a price taker, the market set the price, and the firm has to charge that price. So why can't a perfectly competitive firm charge a lower or higher price? So if the firm charges a higher price, remember there's perfect information, so the consumer will not purchase from that firm. It sells nothing. So if in a perfectly competitive firm, the market sets the price of $5 and I charge $6, there's perfect information the consumers are only going to go to the firms that are charging $5. So charging a lower price. If the firm lowers its price, it's not in the firm's best interest to lower the price because you're going to lose revenue. So they are going to charge the market price. A perfect competitor has to decide how much to produce. A firm uses the profit maximization model. So in perfect competition, the firm uses the profit maximization model to determine the amount of output to produce at the market price. So in order to determine the amount of output to produce at the market price, we make the assumption that the firm wants to maximize its profit. The positive difference between total revenue and total cost is the profits. So we want to maximize that difference. We also make the assumption that the firm also seeks to minimize losses. So revenues minus the total cost. So to define total revenue, it's the price per unit times the quantity sold, P times Q. It's the same as the total receipts from the sale of output. So mathematically, it's the total revenue minus the total cost. The total revenue is computed by P times Q. The total cost is computed by total fixed cost plus total variable cost. We know P is determined by the market price in perfect competition, and Q is determined by the producer to maximize profits. Now looking at this table, we want to find where you are maximizing profits. If you go to 7 units of output, and you look at the profit, notice that you have the largest number of profit at 5 units. The largest number of profit at 7 units of output and 8 units of output. Now, in order to determine the profit maximization number of output, we want to find what marginal revenue equal marginal cost. The place that marginal revenue equal marginal cost is at 7 units of output. So the place where marginal revenue equal marginal cost is at 7 units of output. So we want to produce 7 units of output. Now looking at it graphically, we want to look at the place where there's the largest distance or the biggest difference between the total revenue and the total cost curve. Notice that's at 7 units of output, 7 and 8 units of output. But we would produce at 7 units of output. The profit maximization point would be where the marginal revenue equals the marginal cost. This is the demand and the marginal revenue curve in the price curve in perfect competition. And this is the marginal cost curve. So we want to find where the marginal revenue and the marginal cost curve intersects. So right here. And that would be between 7 and 8 units of output, but we would actually produce 7 units of output. The profit maximizing rate of production is a rate of production that maximizes total profit or the difference between total revenues and total costs. Also, the rate of production at which marginal revenue equal marginal costs. Remember, it's the place at which marginal revenue equal marginal cost. That's very important. You're going to see that over and over again. Profit maximization is where marginal revenue equal marginal cost. So in order to calculate marginal revenue, it's the change in total revenue divided by the change in output. Again, it's the change in total revenue divided by the change in Q, and Q is output. In order to calculate marginal cost, it's the change in total cost divided by the change in output. The change in total cost divided by the change in Q, which is output. Again, marginal cost is the change in total cost divided by the change in Q. And it looks like there's a mistake on this slide. That should be a C right there. That should be marginal cost. MC. That's supposed to be MC. So again, marginal cost is the change in total cost divided by the change in output. Profit maximization occurs whenever the marginal revenue is equal to the marginal cost. Profit maximization occurs when marginal revenue equal marginal cost. So at that level of output, that's where you should produce in order to maximize profits. An additional